Hey folks, Jonathan here, back to work. I don't claim to be a rodentologist or anything like that, but got a feeling there might have been a mouse or two living back here. Don't know. I did find one penny back here laying on the floor under the carpet right here, and it was in 1970. It would have been about a new penny when this car was parked, so I guess I'll get in here and do some evicting. And then I'm going to work my way that way. I'm hoping I can get that panel off without tearing it all to pieces. But anyway, I'll show you where we're at and what we got. Okay, let's answer a few questions or a few comments. This door was coming open. Okay, the reason was, okay, you can see that latch, it's not coming out far enough. It was just out. There we go. Now it's out far enough. So it had been shut for so long, you know, that, and I'm sure now we did open the gap up a little bit. Matter of fact, the gap looks pretty good where it's at because it's really close right here. So it's probably about right. So not bad. So really, I mean, all we've got to do is go inside and get this out. What I want to do is hammer it from the inside, dolly on the outside, go ahead and see if we can get it. I think I can get it right. Now, I don't want to drill holes and use a screw-in style slide hammer. I've just never liked them too well because they dent up around the hole. And, you know, and maybe it's because I get carried away pulling them, but I just don't like them. Okay, and I know they make one that goes in, it's got a hook on it and does the same thing. On this thick steel, you know, it's going to try to pull right around where the bolt's at, or where the hole's at. So I just don't like the way that it comes out. Okay, pen welder. Now we have tried this. A pen welder on this old steel does not work good. You can get it to move, but nothing like you can on these little cars. This is a pretty good wrinkle, and it's going to take something to get it out. It's not, you know, it's not going to be that easy. Now I could heat it, put a cold rag on it, try that, but it's probably as easy, you know, to take the panel off. I don't want to take a chance on catching the inside on fire either, so we'll do that. We're looking good back here. I mean, it's not bad at all. A lot of people said that I could have hooked lower. I could have hooked lower. A lot of the problem is, and I can still hook lower. A lot of the problem is this body was so beat up that I couldn't make my form to go down there first. Second, this is going to rip apart really easy in comparison to up here where we got a good solid place. Now, I had planned to replace all this, but if I can get, you know, keep a good hard pull on it, I think I can take a hammer and dolly and get a lot of this out. And we may or may not, you know, the more we do, the less we'll take off. You know, down here, got no choice. But from this seam down, I've got all new replacement. So from this seam up is the only thing that we're replacing from our panel. So are we going to have a cut in here? Yeah, somewhere. I'm not going to go all the way up to the lead seam and then have to come around here and then down here. I'm just going to cut it wherever we got to cut it at to get rid of all the dents and the problems. And so anyway, let's see if I can get this panel off the inside, get started on that. All right, so here's how you change your angle of pull. See this block on the bed. Now you don't want this block to be leaning because you don't want to shoot anything out from under it, but now our angle is up. So this is what we do to flip a car over if we have no lift. If it's a let's say it's a rollover on its roof and you're on the rollback and you don't have enough lift and the car keeps sliding to you, you can triangulate it like this and get more lift on the vehicle. As you can see, and it helps out. All right, so now we're pulling high and we're working on the dents. As you can see, most of this is out and we're working up here. Can't get to it good with a hammer up there, but we're working it. We'll get it. I've got the panel off, but you only have so much room to work. But we're gonna get, we'll get all this straight. Once all this is straight, then we'll figure out what we're gonna do on the back here. But we're moving right along. All right. Okay, so I've got a lot of that out, but when I relieve pressure off, it bows back out right in this area. So I'm gonna let some off. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. And then I'll pull it back again. Alright, so we're back off of it. And it is back out some. I think I'm just going to keep the pressure on it, keep hammering on it, trying to relieve it. That was the only place in that fender well that I found that was really right through here that was really bowed. But we're going to have to get it figured out where it's going to stay out good. So just keep hammering, tapping on it and hitting it here and there, and eventually we'll get it. Now we are pulling up on it now. We're not pulling down. So we'll just keep at it and see what happens. Okay, folks, we're getting there. We just about got this out. So we're moving right along. Now, you see our gap there. We don't have our fender bolted on. Just got it sticking up in there. But remember, I'm from West Virginia, so this is actually driver quality now. So we're not going to stop on that. We're going to keep on and go ahead and try to get her finished up here. So I think I'm done pulling. Matter of fact, I know I'm done pulling. So now we can get it back up to the shop and start figuring out where we're going to cut it, getting our piece on, getting our bottom panel on, and doing something with the back of the fender. And I think I'll just leave the fender bolted on, probably just leave it like it is. I'm not worried too much about the looks as much as just get maybe some black primer on it to cover stuff up a little bit. But looking really well. Coming out as good as I could ask for. and it don't look as much like it's been wrecked as it did when we started. All right, let me keep at it and I'll keep showing you more. Okay, so we had to get it to where I get the welder to it, so we had to bring it up next to our 31 Roadster that I've been playing with on and off here. I'm putting this off because I really want to paint it. Don't want to finish setting it together with that flat black, so we're just gonna keep holding off on it and playing with it here and there. But anyway, so we're at the point now to where we're ready to start doing some final body work on this thing, and we'll probably start by, well, we're going to figure out what we need to use and what we're not. The back of this fender is in terrible shape, and the back of the repair panel fender is in horrible shape. But I think what I'm going to do is cut it across here and use this top section, because that's in good shape, and that'll get part of that fender fixed. Anyway, I mean, we've got it, might as well use it. So we'll figure out what we need to use of this, and then we'll sweat that lead out of there and cut that off. And I'm hoping, I'm not positive, but I am hoping that this panel is the same height as where they leaded the other ones. I don't know, we'll find out for sure. Couple things. One thing, I'm chewing on candy all the time now instead of smoking, so you know, I'm sure you'll hear it in my voice and all that. So you know, I guess I've seen a couple of complaints. Sorry, the way it is. It's better than a cigarette. So anyway, get over it. How about that? Well, somebody had asked about this panel, and you know, if they kept the dies or had the dies or something. I'm going to say that they had to make the dies for this, and the last set of dies that I knew of that was made for a tractor fender that I know of was $5,000 per side. You know, it takes both sides of the dies to do it, so it was $10,000. So this panel cost me $340. Now, there's not $340 worth of materials here. I'm paying for the dies, and I don't mind doing that. And I'll give you an example. I got a press brake, or brake press, whatever you want to call it, for bending sheet metal. I can do 16 gauge, 6 foot long, no problem. And then I can do some thicker stuff, you know, a little narrower. And anyway, I had a good friend that went and bought some, actually some aluminum from a company not far from here. Really nice aluminum. He needed some bends in it. So he talked to them about doing the bends, and they wanted $20 per bend. And he just thought that was outrageous. So he came here to get me to do it for free, of course. So while I'm bending it, he's complaining about them charging so much. And I looked at him and I told him, I said, look, here's the deal. The machine that they have, and I know this particular company, the machine that they have probably cost them about $300,000. Makes my brake press look like a toy. So at $300,000, how many $20 bends do you have to do to pay for it? And so how can somebody complain about a $20 bend when they're using a $300,000 machine to do it? And same way with this panel. $340, I've bought running driving cars for less than $340. But I wanted it, and that's the way it is. Now the inner panel, $310. I didn't buy it because it's not something that's going to be seen, so we can work on that ourselves. And they call it a tool tray. So it's the inside, but you know, between the trunk and that pan. So we're going to get to work on measuring and cutting and figuring out what we've got to do on this to get it as good as we can get it. And part of that bottom, that's the bottom of the fender, so we can come up wherever that one's still good at. We'll leave this and cut out, and we'll just put part of this on there. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to cut it. All right, starting to cut it, and looking good so far. Moving right along. Got a little bit more trimming and stuff to do to get this panel on. Once we get it on and start getting it welded in, we can do the bottom panel. We'll get her all done. All right. Okay, so I've gotten this piece, the inner fender, cut exactly like I want it, where there'll be no rust in it, or nothing major that can't be taken care of. Now, like I said, the floor is getting replaced. All this is going to get replaced. But we're just trying to work from here up and then around the body. I did end up taking more out of the top, but that's okay. So now we're going to get this lined up. I wanted that full body line to be one piece. So we're just going to keep trying to trim our piece that we've got here until we get it to fit how I want it. Because I like to butt them up. I don't like to overlap. And which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just the way I work. Well, folks, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it a night. It's getting dark on me. I did get it cut and just tacked in place. I got to clean it up and weld it. I was tacking it as I was cutting it. So I think we're good. I might, before I quit here, maybe throw that fender up on there and see how that looks. And remember, all that rust in the bottom will be replaced with that bottom panel, and then hopefully we can get the back of the fender as good as we can get it. But I just want to see what it's going to look like here. Now I've still got to weld. I mean, I got a lot of grinding and welding to do. I need to clean it up really good. But as you can see, I overlapped, or didn't overlap, I actually cut it. Now this will go together and get welded. This will get cut here, put together, and hammered around and welded as the inner fender well, and then hopefully everything will bolt on right. You know, you got a big slot on them fenders for adjustments, so they should be fine. Everything else is going to be okay. But once we get all that welded up, so if we got a little bit of rust there, we'll have to cut out and replace, but nothing major. You know, we'll do all that as we go also. So let me get that fender and stick up there and just see what it's going to look like. Okay, folks, we got it actually looking pretty good. You know, I've still got a lot of grinding and welding to do. This is just tacked together and just trying to get everything right, and body lines and shapes and everything. We bolted the fender back on here, and definitely gonna have to do the, like I said, do the end of the fender, and we'll, you know, that other pan gets cut here and gets replaced all the way down. So we should be mostly rust free when we're done. You know, surface rust, yeah, but I mean, when it comes to actual holes and stuff, I mean, I think we'll be pretty rust free, and then we'll do the trunk pan and it'll make it even nicer. But everything's lined up pretty good, as good as could be expected, and we'll probably do a little bit more just tacking in place, and then we'll go ahead and get our bottom pan on, and the body line's right on the trunk where it closes and all that. But it's coming right along. Starting to look more like a car that's going to be drivable, and you know, I really enjoy this. I really wanted to drive this thing out of that barn, but since I didn't get to, this is sort of a once in a lifetime chance to, you know, fix a totaled car that was totaled in 1971, which, like I said, was the year I was born. So that's 48 years ago, and it'll be 49 years this year. But boy, that's you know, that's a long time, and you know, I'm glad to be able to have the opportunity to do it. So, and I appreciate everybody following along on it, and you know, we're just doing what we can with what we've got to work with. So anyway, appreciate everybody watching, and we'll try to have another one on tomorrow. All right, bye.